Welcome back, everyone, to Auction for the Soul. This week's Parsha is Parshat Tesse. And Tesse is, again, this Parsha that's always read a couple of weeks before the high holidays, before Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. It is a Parsha that discusses so much about the intricacies of human psychology. Not just to be read as Ki Tesse le'milchama al oivecha, because when you go out against war, against your enemies. The pasuk itself is written in a very strange way. Why would it say ki tetze? Shouldn't it say im tetze? It's making an assumption, the pasuk, that there's for sure going to be an inevitable war. What about if? Like, who says there has to be a war? And this happens if you go to war. But when you go to war, it's a very proactive, active stance. And then it's interesting because ki tetze l'milchama oyevecha, who is this enemy? Why not mention it? Or just, why even bother saying enemy? Let's say it's something else, some other reason why you have to go to war. But the Torah isn't just about chitzoni, external wars. The Torah itself is a guide to internal struggles. It's a war about character development. It's about desire. It's about power. It's about ego. Parsha asks us, when we go out to war, into the world, what part of the world comes back with you? Are you changed? For better or for worse? Since October 7th, how many of our young soldiers have gone out to war and come back with, who knows what they've come back with? And every time you're going to go to war, there's a way to win the war, and then there's what you carry with you for the rest of your life. You have PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, is a real thing for so many who've come back from war. But it's interesting because over here, the Chachamim said, Ki Tetze le'milchama is inevitable because it's talking about the soul's battle of war against the enemy, and the ultimate enemy is the Yetzer, Hara, or evil inclination. And therefore, what we're describing isn't just a physical, material kind of war, it's spiritual in nature. And that's why the Torah is speaking is Ki Tetze le'milchama, right? You're going to go out to the war against your enemy. You're going to figure out a way of defeating them and obliterating them. We are not going to war because we want to have fun. We go to war because we want to do the next thing, which is we want to take captives. Okay, we want to go ahead and make sure that we're in a position to go ahead and actually not only win and not only defeat our enemies, but we want to walk away being victorious. We want to come back with the spoils of war, so to speak. And therefore, the Parsha, has so much depth into it. It moves very quickly. So it talks about this idea of, Ki Tetze le'milchama. When you go out to the war and you're battling and so on and so forth. And then later in the Parsha, okay, it goes very quickly and talks about this idea of Vereita, Ki Tetze le'milchama al oivecha, when you go out to war against your enemy, and Hashem will give you into your hands, and you take captives. What do I mean, and you take captives? And you will capture, it actually says, and you will capture it, your captives. And you capture its captive. What does that mean, Meshivit Shivyo? So the Baal Shem Tov says, it refers to the enemy. We have to adopt his tactics and use them against him. Therefore, the only way you're going to beat the Yetzer Hara is by playing the Yetzer Hara's game. How do you go ahead and beat the Yetzer Hara if you're not proactive and have a plan to defeat your enemy? Your enemies will defeat you. This is unfortunately what's happening in the West today. The West does not see that they have an enemy. They have an enemy. The lions, the foxes are at the door, and no one's awake right now. Everyone's sleeping. No one knows what's really going on. But there is an enemy that wants to destroy you. So you have two choices: do nothing and just wait, and they'll destroy you, or you're proactive and saying, no, I'm going to figure out a way of fighting back and make sure that I win this war. And then the Parsha continues. First of all, over there, on that pasuk, Shivyo, what does Rashi say over there? Rashi over there says that, he says, what? Larbot knanim shvetocha va'af al pi shehem mishivat umot. This Vishut Shivyo is double language, is to include the Canaanites in their midst, even though they're from the seven nations. So there's two layers of how you understand this. There's the literal level, when you're going to go out and take captives in war, right? And then there's the taking your Yetzer Hara captive and defeating them. So how do you do that? So Parsha continues, right? The Re'ita b'shivya eshet yafat to'ar. If you see among the captives a beautiful woman, v'chashakta ba, and you desire her, v'lakachta lecha leisha, and you could take her for yourself, for a wife, right? So the Torah allows a soldier to take a captive woman, yet it demands this slow emotional transformation before marriage. She's got to mourn her the loss of her family, no makeup, she can't cut her nails. You got to wait for 30 days. And why? What does Rashi say over here? Asita tziporneha, lakach isha, lo dibra Torah, ela keneged Yetzer Hara. The Torah was written only for you to understand how to react to the Yetzer Hara. She'im and HaKadosh Baruch Hu matira. Right? Because if the Torah did not matir it, permit it, Yis'ena be'isur, eventually you're going to go ahead and lose yourself to the sin. Aval im nasa sofo liyot sona. So here you have a commandment where we're speaking against the evil inclination, which is where your desire comes from. You're out in battle, you've unleashed your passions for war, you've got blood, your sword, whatever it is, and you're in this like hot state. And now you see something and you want it. You're in a savage mode, right? You're in berserker mode. For God, he would not permit her. If it was up to God, he would not want him to take this captive woman at all. He would, and if he wouldn't allow it, Rashi is saying he would take her be'isur, yisena be'isur. He would take her illicitly. Therefore, the Torah teaches us that if he marries her, he will ultimately come to despise her. Right? Im nasa sofo liyot sona, shene'amar acharav ki tiyena li'isha. Right? It says afterwards, if a man has two wives, one beloved and one is despised, he will ultimately go ahead and have solo mimena ben soramor. He's going to have the soramor, which is later on conversation later on in the Torah about how you deal with a wayward son. So you have this. Okay, so lo dibra Torah ela keneged Yetzer Hara. Everything in the Torah is about a deep psychological insight into man's behavior. We are very much influenced by our own self-image. When you view yourself as a sinner, right, as the psychological restraint that prevents him from sinning is removed, right? He starts reasoning, I'm a bad guy, I'm not so good, then let me do whatever I want to do. I'm a bad person anyway. But if you think of yourself as a ninja warrior that is always at war with your Yetzer Hara, right? He'd find the strength to stop, right? How do you see yourselves? Are you the loser or are you the winner? The winner will say, this girl's not for me. But most people, unfortunately, the Torah is saying, does not have that strong psychological ability to clarify what we really want, or do we allow ourselves to be moved by our passions? The Torah always meets us where we are, but it gives us room to become more than our base instincts. So there are times where we act out of impulse, right? And we make mistakes. All the time we're acting out of impulse, we're making mistakes. And therefore the Torah's model for living a normal life is a life of self-regulation. And therefore the Torah is asking, well, when you're going to go to war and you're going to lose yourself out of the war. The war, by the way, isn't a war holding a sword. It's going to the workplace. It's work, family. It's friends. It's every time we're engaging with other people, there's a battle that is happening, whether you're aware of it or not. It's there. What habits do we bring back from a successful or stressful environment, from our workplace, from our school, family tensions, and so on and so forth? Now, Sfat Emet and Netivot Shalom, they teach that every single battle in the Torah, like Rashi, is an inner battle, right? Ki Tetze, when you go out of yourself, out of your comfort zone, leave your distractions behind, put the phone down, stop with the automatic responses, don't just move the lips, move things to the heart, make it real, right? The Netivot Shalom says, going to war is engaging in inner chaos. Right? We want you to fight the things that are holding you back from living a life of beauty and greatness. I don't want to say perfection because nothing is perfect. Yet we are promised that when Hashem, if we go to war, that Hashem will help us. If we wage war with intentionality, right? We have to be clear of what we want. So when we go out into challenge or desire, do you bring back self-mastery or guilt? Because every challenge is about becoming a master over that. Do we bring back self-mastery or guilt, or are we bringing back wisdom or weakness? The Parsha itself contains 74 mitzvot, more mitzvot than any Parsha, right? And most of these mitzvot are centered around ethical lives, talking about returning lost items, paying workers on time, talking about, the dignity for the dead, kindness to the animals, making sure you have honest weights and measures. This is what bringing back from our journeys means. The Torah wants us to refine our character, right? You measure a civilization not by what it builds, but how it treats the people that are most vulnerable. That is the beauty of society. So I reject the interpretation of Islam, which is so brutal. It's the antithesis of a healthy society. A healthy, normal society raises up people from below. We see each other as interconnected. You and I have responsibility to one another. We raise each other up. We're there for one another. We support, right? And now, so you have to frame every person's, your personal daily experience as a journey out into the world. Like the neshama comes into this world, it is in battle, it's fighting with the body itself, back and forth. And some say that the captive, this Eshet Yafat Torah, this beautiful woman that is captured, is the soul itself being captured in the body, taken prisoner. And when you're able to identify that there's a more beautiful part of who you are inside of you that is a deepest expression of perfection and godliness, right? It changes everything. It changes, your business meetings. It changes how you drive in traffic, especially if you live in the New York area. It talks about what you're posting and when you're consuming on social media. How do you respond to challenging people or parents, right? Each experience is a mini battle, a mini war. And the question that the Parsha is asking is, did we come out bitter or better? Did we bring back kedusha or a complaint? And this is exactly what the Maharal says. The Maharal says that action shapes essence. What we do out there becomes who we are in here, right? That is the beauty of life. Every moment is a opportunity to refine or descend into a higher person or a lower kind of person. Parsha ends with the battle of Amalek. Amalek, we know, is safek, doubt, cynicism. It's about moral apathy. It is the worst parts of society. A society that has accepted Amalekite ideology is one that has no future. It is a death cult. Very much something like, I'm not going to say it exactly, but it sounds like Hamas. We battle Amalek internally, right? We stay awake. We're grateful. We stay engaged. We don't allow ourselves to live a life of apathy. We want to live a life of meaning, right? And now, how are we returning from our battles? Are we spiritually intact or even stronger? When you go out to war daily, what do you bring back? Are you willing to leave your comfort zone? Are you willing to face your tests? Are you willing to make the hard choices? Because at some point you're going to return. It's inevitable. Victory isn't a chitzoni external thing. It's what you bring back inside. It's about the integrity, the patience, Torah values. It's about taking a heart that is of stone and turning it into something that is soft, elevating the lev. With that, I'm confident that once you have that clear picture of your ability to win and beat this unbelievable force that is always trying to push you down with its intention to make you great, you'll see, Bezrat Hashem, this Rosh Hashanah and this year will be a year of complete success. Wishing you all a Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much for listening.